My name is Wagner Freitas, I am the president of CUT, and today I'm very happy of talking for our Global Work University to all the students. This is an important CUT initiative in the training of new and future Brazilian workers and also new and future worldwide workers. Today they asked me to talk on the appreciation of the minimum wage, how was the conquest of the formula we have implemented in Brazil and which has been so important for the development of the country. It was a CUT proposal short after the election of President Lula, and evidently we needed to advance in something that would be extremely important in the path of workers and Brazil. And CUT has defined correctly that the most important would be the appreciation of the minimum wage, which was always a battle for CUT in all the governments of Brazil, with the exception of Vargas' government, which was also a democratic and popular government that was continued by João Goulart government for a few years. And it had the appreciation of the minimum wage. But after that, we didn't have any more. And we resumed that in the government of President Lula with a proposal from CUT, the appreciation of minimum wage. And you have no idea what it meant for the economy and for Brazil. The minimum wage, the appreciation of the minimum wage, is the most important social work of Lula government under the point of view of the distribution of income, more than Bolsa Família program. People talk about Bolsa Família program, which was also very important. But the minimum wage, from the point of view of the heating of the economy and the redemption of the Brazilian internal market, that during the 2008 crisis was the greatest Brazilian government strategy to go through the crisis in an easier way than in other countries. It was the heating of our internal market with various attitudes taken by the Lula government on the pressure from CUT and the workers, and the most important, the minimum wage. Just for you to have an idea, in Brazil more than 100 million people receive the minimum wage and live on the minimum wage. And when there is the appreciation that we promoted, this money is directly injected into the national economy. In Brazil, mainly in the countryside of Brazil, the greater wage we have is the minimum wage, because in small towns where they don't have a developed economy, the amount paid by the minimum wage levels the other wages that are paid by the companies in collective negotiations with our trade unions. So it is very important in relation to that. It was also very important for the retired ones. We have a very large percentage of retirees. And these retirees have their wage reassessment based on the minimum wage. And it's also an extraordinary conquest for people, because until today, the coup who are unfortunately in the Brazilian government or the usual rentiers, they want to unlink the retirement wage appreciation from the minimum wage appreciation. And it injects in the Brazilian economy every year millions. Only this year were injected more than 35 billion reais directly in the Brazilian economy because of the appreciation formula that we created. But what is this formula that I'm talking about? You take the inflation of the year added from the variation of the GDP of the two past years. And then you can take that as the minimum wage adjustment. But this policy, of course, is only effective when you have economic growth in the country. And it also influences in the economic growth, because when you do the investment in the internal market, you immediately bring growth. But not just numerical growth, but also the economic growth with distribution of income, improving the life of people. Mainly the most needed people, that are the workers who receive the minimum wage, more than 100 million people. What was the other matter of the minimum wage? Me, for example, I am a bank worker. And all the salary campaigns from CUT's trade unions, they use as a reference the minimum wage. If the adjustment of the minimum wage is X, the other salary campaigns fight to have the same adjustment or even higher than the minimum salary. And this has a repercussion even on those people who don't live on the minimum wage, because the appreciation of the minimum wage helps very much in the construction of salary increases that we had evidently Until 2 or 3 years ago, at least 2 years ago, we had the increase of the workers' wages above inflation. And today, what is happening? The coups, who are temporarily in the government, they have as a main objective to end the policy of the minimum wage appreciation. And what exactly does it mean? That this policy, a government that fights for the social interests, the less favored, and of social inclusion. But unfortunately, that's not what the coups today think. President Lula and President Dilma governed Brazil to 100 million for everyone, not for 100 million, but for all workers, for all the Brazilian population. The government that is here today understands that Brazil has to be governed by 30% of the population, and then the other 70% would be excluded, socially excluded. And one of the matters, as I said from the start, is that what values the most the participation of the workers, that distributes more income, and that is an effective social policy is the appreciation of the minimum wage. Therefore, we from CUT, we have as a goal and as a fight to prevent the coups to commit this atrocity against the Brazilian people, against the Brazilian worker, or against the Brazilian retired worker. That would be like going back to the previous age where the minimum wage was depreciated. They understand that the Brazilian people do not fall in the budget. On the other hand, we understand that the budget needs to help people develop.